Hey, what's happening, guys? Today I'm just going to go over bar chords. They're just an easy entrance into playing some chords on guitar, and use them for rock and roll tunes and stuff like that. It's really pretty easy. What you're going to do is you're going to put your first finger on the sixth string, right, and then at least use one more finger. So it's like at least a two-note chord. I recommend in the beginning trying to use your third finger here on the A string, 2 frets up, and then you just strum just those 2 strings together. That's what it sounds like. So power chords are missing the note that tells you whether it's a major chord or a minor chord. Not to get too into theory, but they're sort of ambiguous. So if I were to play like a major chord, it sounds kind of bright, happy. Minor chord sounds like a little dark, mysterious, something like that. But the power chord is just totally ambiguous, and it's perfect for rock and roll and stuff. Okay, you might have noticed there I was using actually my pinky as well. So you can do that, and then it becomes a 3-note chord, but really one of the notes is just a repeat. So actually this note that I'm playing right here and this note on the D string, so that's the fourth string at the 7th fret there, is the same note as the 5th fret of the 6th string. They're both A notes. They happen to be an A note. So what happens is it's an octave. So what I'm basically playing is this note, and then a doubled root note. I'm calling that the root. Okay, so that's what your power chord looks like. Now you can build them off the 6th string like this, and they're movable. So anywhere I put it, it's a different power chord. And if you don't know your notes, which a lot of people don't in the beginning, know your notes along the 6th string, you could just Google a fretboard roadmap, and it will tell you what note is at each fret. Like this, at the 1st fret is an F, at the 3rd fret it's a G, the 5th fret it's an A, the 7th fret it's a B, so then you have a C right next to it at the 8th fret. Those are a couple that you could start to just try to start to memorize, and then the notes in between, you can always just Google a fretboard roadmap. So you can build them off the 6th string like that, but you can also build them right off the 5th string. And so all I did was just move all 3 of my fingers down a string towards the floor, right? So now I'm playing this note, so this is the root of my power chord, and then I'm playing that note, and I can play just those 2 strings. I'm not hitting the 6th string anymore, I'm just hitting the 5th and the 4th, the A and the D strings. And then if I want to add my pinky, I get that octave note. And the reason that you might want to add that 3rd finger, one, it'll be good practice towards eventually building bar chords, which are going to be, a fuller, where you're barring an entire set of, 3 or 4 strings or so, and then fretting a couple other with your other fingers. So your hand, or your fingers and your hands will get used to that sort of shape that you're eventually going to use. But you don't have to. You could play just 2 notes, like I said, but I think for a lot of people, it's good practice. The other thing is, like I said, it thickens up the chord. So if we're using distortion, let me get a little practice amp over here. There we go. So when you do it with 3 strings, it definitely thickens up the sound of it as opposed to just hitting 2 notes. See, like a good example of using power chords, something you could do to practice with them, would be that Green Day song called Brain Stew. And literally we're just going to take a power chord and move it down the neck. The last one we're going to do is actually an open power chord. So all I'm like, because of the tuning of the guitar string, I don't have to fret this string because it's already tuned to the string that I want. So I'm just gonna, like, we could move this shape down like this, and then when we get to here, we're gonna use the open 6th string, the open E string, and the A string at the 2nd fret. So theoretically it is like playing it like this, but we just don't need to use that finger. So this is an easy one. So what happens is we'll move backwards. We'll go 5, 5, 3, 3, 2, 2, then 1, 1, open. I think you recognize that. Right? You can practice with one finger. and then practice putting all your fingers down, and then just taking the pressure off the string and moving them down. And they do that muted part later in the song. So pretty fun. What's another one is like Rock You Like a Hurricane. Yeah, power chords are perfect for playing rock and roll. And then eventually what you'll do, like I said, is we'll build them into full bar chords. But for right now, you can just take that and practice moving them all around the neck, everywhere, and start to try to remember, if you can remember, at least on the dots, like 3 is G, so that's a G power chord, or sometimes you hear them called G5, or root 5 chords, I mean. So like here, that would be called a G5 or a G power chord. Here's an A5 at the 7th fret, and here's a B, right? Then you can move to the A string and build off a couple too. We have a C right here at the 3rd fret, a D right there, and an E right here. Remember, they're not major or minor, so they're interchangeable. You can just use them. Some of you will recognize that from a very famous 4-letter word band. Anyways, not trying to get a copyright strike, so I'm going to stop playing songs here, but just wanted to show you a little introduction to power chords and what you can use them for. Yeah, so hey, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Give me a like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time.